You have been here for how many years at the Wild and Scenic?
I think this is my 8th Wild and Scenic in 10 years.
Wow. How does it feel to be back?
Well, there's a few new restaurants. Since
right?
I wasn't here last year, there's some new restaurants, a couple new coffee shops. I did a quick lap on Broad Street when I got here.
Yeah.
It's great. The town looks vibrant and amazing, so it's great to be back.
Good. Well, and when we talk about your role, you are the director of this film called, is it Romero?
Romeo.
Oh, Romeo November.
Right.
And Romeo November, when I first heard the title, I was like, what is this about? So maybe tell us a little bit about that movie, Romeo
November is a film that American Rivers made in partnership with an organization called Lighthawk, which is a conservation flying organization. So there's volunteer pilots that own their own aircraft, and they volunteer both their time, the hours on their plane, and the fuel to fly conservation missions for organizations all over the country. And so I partnered with Lighthawk on this project to highlight 3 climate resilience projects in the Colorado River Basin. One outside of Fort Collins, Colorado, one near Price, Utah, and one down in Bisbee, Arizona. And the through line of the film really is the same pilot that flew all 3 of those missions with us. And so we got to know Chuck Schroll. He's a great guy. He used to be a doctor, and he has done work all around the world. And now he's a volunteer pilot with Lighthawk. And once the story got rolling, it really revealed itself that the character of this film really is Chuck.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the environmental issues that we're confronting with each one of these sites, but Chuck as a unique character just brings you in, and you want to get to know Chuck a little bit more, and he's a really sweet guy.
I agree. There's a part in the film where you can feel his level of commitment to Lighthawk, because he says he wants to do it until he can no longer do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's a lifer.
He's a lifer, and I think he's in his late 60s or early 70s, and he says in the film, "I'll do this as long as Lighthawk will let me fly."
That's awesome.
He's deeply committed, and also in the film you can hear him. We're in the cockpit of the plane with him, and I was able to record cockpit audio as we were flying these missions, and he talks about his joy in all this is hearing the conservationists like me speaking about and getting excited about what they're seeing from the air. I mean, he's trying to not fly the plane into the mountain, but he's hearing all of us talk about the details of what we're seeing from the air. It's super inspiring for him.
Well, and also seeing something from the air as a conservative person, why is that such a magnitude? Why does that make it so important?
Well, often a lot of the projects that are done, some climate resilience projects are big, but a lot of times these are discrete projects that may not cover a whole lot of ground.
Right.
But when you see a unique project at a landscape scale, and you see how it, especially with river systems, you see how these projects fit in to the grander river system that you're working on. It gives you a perspective that is just, you can't get anywhere else, even with drones, right? So we fly a lot of drones in these films too. A drone can go up to 400 feet. Well, Chuck's flying at 2,500 feet,
right,
or 3,000 feet, and it's a whole different landscape level view. Some of the scenery in Romeo November that you see, especially near the end of the film, when we're down in the Bisbee area, southern Arizona, those are big, wide open spaces, and you're seeing the San Pedro River, coursing through this desert landscape, and you see the trees. That is where 85% of the riparian life exists, and especially in the desert. It's really, really important to be able to remember that these river systems are the key to life in those desert areas.
Right.
So it's fascinating.
Well, and this is an important factor about the rivers, and in 3 different spots. Tell me why those 3 spots and those 3 conservative efforts.
They were 3 different. They were chosen because they show different impacts that are being brought on the earth by climate change in 3 different types of environments. So the first project that we fly over is one of the largest wildfire areas in Colorado,
right,
the Cameron Peak Burn area outside of Fort Collins. thousands and thousands of acres of trees charred to the bone. So we fly over that, and then we interview Hallie Strevey next to the river, and she's talking about that interconnection between what has been burned and the river itself, and what the river provides for the city of Fort Collins. Then we go to Price, Utah, a small-scale stream restoration, but the practice that's being leveraged there is restoring streams using what are called beaver dam analogs, so man-made versions of beaver dams to slow the water down, rebuild the ecology of the river, and then promote that resilience over time. And then lastly, in Bisbee, Arizona, we're on the San Pedro River, and it's all about groundwater recharge. So the city of Sierra Vista, all of their wastewater comes in and naturally filters back down into the aquifer and then feeds into the San Pedro River, which is one of the most remarkable rivers in the Southwest.
Well, and also think about it too. I mean, these are solutions that we're now making man-made beaver dams to preserve the water and hold it a little bit longer, so that it doesn't sweep away. And so these are things that are being in solution mode. That must feel really good.
It's amazing. And to apply it to California, American Rivers has an office here in Nevada City, and some of the wetlands work that's being done here out of the Nevada City office is similar to what's going on in my part of the world in southern Arizona. So many of the same kind of techniques translate between Central California, or the mountain regions, the Sierra regions of California, all the way to Arizona and into Texas on the Rio Grande where I work. So there's a lot of overlap in how these kinds of techniques can help give more climate resilience for the future.
Wow. Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you. You're going to come back, right?
Theoretically. I mean, I might have some things going for next year.
Okay.
We'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
we always love to have you here, and we so thank you for coming, and just keep on inspiring us with your films. This
Thank you.
one's called the Romeo November. It's lovely. When does it show?
3:30 tomorrow at Oddfellows Hall. It's in the Water Tales block of films.
Okay, lovely. Well, thank you so much, Sijin. And we are here at the Media Lounge at the 22nd Annual Wild and Scenic. Thank you guys for showing up, and thanks, Sijin.
Thank you very much, Kimberly.
You're welcome.